Where is this latest poll? Hold, please, Allison Gill from Mueller, She Wrote, and Daily Beans. Here it is. A majority of Americans now approve of the FBI's raid on Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort home, up from 49% last week. Now it is overall 52% approve, 37% disapprove. So, once again, she is wrong. Okay. Oh, by the way, Allison, let's speculate, shall we? Who is it?
Okay.
Is it Matt Gaetz? Matt Gaetz' Republican opponent? Oh, God, I love how the big bag of rats is all fighting. Fight, fight, fight. You're all equally awful. Matt Gaetz' Republican primary opponent, Mark Lombardo, dropped a scathing new ad this week suggesting Gaetz is the FBI informant that led to the FBI raid.
Excellent.
It says, the ad says, when Donald Trump really endorses someone, he goes big. You've seen none of that for lying Matt Gaetz. What does Trump know? Is Gaetz the informant? Gaetz hired Jeffrey Epstein's attorney. Another Epstein attorney approved the raid on Trump's house. Remember, Gaetz pressured Trump to give him a pardon, but Trump said no. Okay, and then he said Trump's lukewarm support for Gaetz is because Trump views him as a pedophile.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all getting nasty in the big bag of rats.
I don't know if he's the informant, but he could be picking up signal intel with his forehead.
Oh, yeah.
It's a 5-head.
Yes. Representative Rapey McForehead. Okay. Who do you think the informant is? Do you have a guess?
Well, I thought it was Meadows, but then there's some speculation within Trump circles that it's one of his family members because they knew about the location of the leather-bound box. Okay. And you know, I've talked to Mary Trump a ton.
Yeah.
She's always said from the beginning, oh, his kids will turn on him in a second.
Yeah.
His kids will turn on him.
Yeah. Oh my God, hilarious. So this just happening as we speak. Trump Organization Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg has been warned by a judge that he could face years in prison if he fails to cooperate and testify truthfully against his employer. Weisselberg admitted guilt in the plea deal that will see him sentenced to 6 months in jail. He's only expected to serve 3 months, which we already said we do not like. However, Weisselberg learned at the hearing failing to cooperate could result in 15 years of jail time. Under the deal, he would have to testify in a trial against Trump's company. The judge said if you fail to testify truthfully at the upcoming trial of the Trump Organization, I would not then be bound by my sentence promise. Thoughts, Allison Gill?
Yeah, and that was the case before. And the judge still isn't even bound by his sentence promise. But you know, it would be a jerk move to not to be like, no, I'll give you 3 months and then come down with 10 years or something. But I don't understand. I still don't get like why he can't or won't implicate Trump or the kids. And we should talk to like our boyfriend Glenn to find out what it means for an organization to be criminally convicted, because none of the officers go to jail.
I mean,
so what happens?
My understanding is the fines would be significant enough to sink the company, but all right.
But also, this could also help the New York Attorney General Tish James in her civil litigation against the company, which she, I think, plans to do what she did to the Trump Foundation, which is just shut it down.
Yeah. I will ask our mutual boyfriend, Glenn Kirschner, when I thieve him from you tomorrow. Okay. So I just thought, wow, isn't it feel magically full circle being from the Mueller, She Wrote podcast that the FBI documents Trump hoarded for years, including about Russiagate. This is from the Newsweek. They collected everything that rightfully belonged to the U.S. government, but the true target was these documents that Trump had been collecting since early in his administration. The sought-after documents deal with a variety of intelligence matters of interest to the former president, the officials suggest, including material Trump apparently thought would exonerate him of any claims of Russian collusion in 2016 or any other election-related charges. Well, clearly he would have released that if there was actually anything that would exonerate him.
If he had those, we would have seen them by now. I think they could be going after that. They could be going after the apparently nuclear secrets to keep them safe, but also the January 6th material that he was reluctant to give back when he said it's mine,
not yours.
Because the National Archives was handing everything over to the committee.
Yeah. Well, FBI and Justice became aware of Trump's private collection. A confidential human source revealed that the former president wasn't planning to divulge that he had possession of some of his own documents and did not intend to return them. John Bolton, among other officials, described how the president regularly tore out pages from intelligence reports or took away documents which interested him to his White House residence. Most of those documents had the potential to reveal U.S. intelligence sources or methods. Some of them, as you said, dealt with nuclear weapons. It wasn't the subject matter per se that was of interest to justice. It was the fear that Trump might weaponize the information, including for personal gain. One official said all official documents, regardless of classification, are required to be returned to the archives under the Presidential Records Act. What we're talking about here is not just documents the archives was seeking to fulfill the provisions of the act. They were also after some of the documents they considered more sensitive, but also documents they felt the former president had no intention to return. I mean, Allison, my question to you would be, in the amount of time this has taken, is this the next shoe to drop? Are we going to find he's already sold them to somebody?
Well, we already know he's sold stuff to people while he was in office, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if he has already. You know, I've been positing this for years now, right. Especially, you know, after he gave the, you know, Middle Eastern missile strike information to the Russians in the Oval Office, and then was waving around the Syrian missile strike at Mar-a-Lago in front of, you know. So it's just no doubt that he's already sold or bartered away some of this information. But those are the two things. That's why he's ripping stuff out and hiding it and taking it to Mar-a-Lago. It's either because he wants to sell it or he wants to hide it.
Right.
It's got to be those two things, right?
Right. So let's reset for people who just tuned in, because this is a big deal. Federal prosecutors investigating the role Trump and his allies played, this is J6 now, have issued a grand jury subpoena to the National Archives for all the documents the agency provided to the Parallel Health Select Committee. Those materials include records from Trump's top aides, his daily schedule, phone logs, draft texts of his speech that preceded the riot. Asking the National Archives for any White House documents pertaining to the events surrounding J6 was one of the first major steps the House panel took, and the grand jury subpoena suggests the Justice Department has not only been following the committee's lead in pursuing its inquiry, but also that prosecutors believe evidence of a crime may exist in the White House documents the archives turned over to the House panel. So you were saying, Allison, you've been on Twitter and elsewhere saying, you know, but a lot of people were screaming, how come the DOJ is so far behind the House panel? But what does all this say to you? Because I know you've talked about it a lot.
Yeah, and it's kind of what we were talking about at the top of the hour. They aren't following the committee's lead. They're waiting for the committee to get all of these documents through the executive privilege fight.
Right.
So that's what they're doing. And then once it was all through the executive privilege fight and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and like I said, everybody but Ginny's husband said hand it over. As soon as all that was done, then Department of Justice was like, great, give it all to us now. It's squeaky clean. It's like laundered evidence, but in a good way.
Right. There you go. David in Miami, you're on with Allison Gill. Hey, David.
Cherche la femme, or you found the femme.
Cherche la femme.
Yes.
Hi. So while we're praying for Thom Hartmann's swift recovery for his back surgery, I just want to remind you that Trump is like a lot of other people in the 70s. They've been trying to run business like they're still in the 1970s, and they haven't caught up. And that helps explain why Trump's view of science and everything else is out of date. I'm surprised he didn't replace all the White House maps with those New Yorker maps, you know, where New York, it takes up almost the whole world except for New Jersey. So that's what we're up against with certain bosses who cannot or will not retire. And Trump is just the worst. Just ask Tony Schwartz, the real author of Out of the Deal.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, we keep saying, our mutual boyfriend, Glenn Kirschner, I keep saying that. I think they kept saying that about Gotti, right? About, you know, justice seems like it's never going to come, and then it comes all at once. I mean, it's hard to know which tentacle is going to get him first, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think my favorite horse in the race has been Fani Willis down at the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. She seems to be moving at light speed down there, and you know, with Rudy already getting his letter, I think Trump's either gotten it or he's about to. But along with the 16 fraudulent electors, I think they're in a good deal of trouble. And there's no pardon. And if there's a Republican president elected, God forbid, in 2024, they can't pardon a state crime like that. Nor can the governor in Georgia. They have a pardon board. So even if Kemp somehow, who also hates Trump. I don't think he would pardon him anyway, but it's
Right.
not the governor.
Right, but he's also fighting the subpoena now, isn't he, from Bonnie Willis? Brian
He
Kemp?
wants to do it after the election.
Yeah.
And she wrote him that really nice letter.
This might be the sign of the apocalypse. Alex Jones has hopped off the Donald Trump train
This is
and
true.
is announced his support for Ron DeSantis.
Yep.
I'm sure that won't bother Trump in any way. I'm sure he'll be fine with that. He said of DeSantis, "I don't just watch a man's actions, as Christ said.
Oh, God.
Judge a tree by its fruits. I also look in his eyes on HD video, and I see the real sincerity."
Seriously?
That's in Ron, yeah. He said we have someone that's way better than Trump. Way better than Trump. Yeah, I don't. Okay, so that's a wow.
You got a pretty low bar there, Alex. But, remember a couple, I think it was a month ago or so, when Alex Jones' lawyer reached out to the Justice Department, Wyndham over at the Justice Department, and said, "Let me help me help you." He Jerry Maguired it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure whatever happened with that, but we do know that Alex Jones's phone, 2 years of contents of his text messages, including, I believe, January 6th, were handed over to the committee and law enforcement. The committee has been confirmed. Law enforcement hasn't been confirmed, but I'm sure the DOJ has them too, if they didn't have them already.
Is it how Schadenfreude-licious is it if that's how we find all the Secret Service texts? Because he also was in communication with the secret, wasn't he? With the Secret Service on January 6th.
He was texting everybody, so I wouldn't be surprised.
That's a legal term, everybody.
Everybody.
Who did you text, sir? Everybody. Okay, Robert in Florida, you're on with Allison Gill. Hello, Robert.
Hey, Allison, nice to talk to you. Hey, Mama.
Hello.
Hey, congratulations on your new squeeze. Good for you. And hopefully you got an Italian girl this time, you know?
I did.
And
I did, actually.
is she,
Yes.
you're going to eat good.
In honor
I'm
of
telling
you.
You're really good, you know.
The moon hit
Yeah,
my
well,
eye
what
like
do
a
you
big
mean?
pizza pie. Yeah.
And she brought the cannoli.
You're going to be 300. Mama, you'll be 300 pounds by Christmas.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh-huh.
Listen, Mike Pence, you know, when you play Mike Pence, you got to give your listeners a heads up because I almost drove into a bridge. I couldn't take it anymore. Mama, that guy's voice is just it's so
Isn't it?
nasty. I don't know.
Oh.
It's
Like a dentist drill. It's just like a
yeah,
Like a
Mama,
bandsaw
the
through a
fly on
bicycle
his-
frame.
Mama, the fly on his head that landed on the debate had more charisma than him. I mean, it's just too much. I can't, you know.
All right, I understand.
Listen,
It's the first time he was ever interesting. You're like, look at that fly.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
First time I ever looked closer at him.
Yes. I'm sorry, Robert. Did you have another thought?
He's gone.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, that was it. That was all the thoughts.
Yeah,
Okay.
he said take it easy, he said. But
Okay.
yeah, Pence and his voice are pretty creepy. But, you know, there's so many clips that we have to play from folks like Pence and Kimberly Guilfoyle and Alex Jones that, you know, if you're driving, just, you know, wear your seatbelt.
Yeah.
Yes. By the way, you tweeted, border crossings are down for the second month in a row, but the imaginary caravan will be scheduled to arrive right before the election, I'm
Of
sure.
course.
To this day, I don't get it when they tweet about him catching people at the border or stopping drugs. You're like, okay, thank you, President Biden. How are they using that as something that the border is not secure?
I don't get it either. The GOP tweeted 1.2 million, I guess, apprehensions at the border, and I'm like, oh look, Republicans say the border is secure AF.
Right.
Sweet. Thanks for the secure border. And then they're all like, he goes to Delaware, but he doesn't come to the border. It's like, because there's nothing to see at the border right now. Nothing is happening.
And he got Mexico to pay for the $1.5 billion, what do they call that thing? The thing that's actual security and not the stupid wall.
Oh, did you see what the governor of Arizona did?
No.
He put a bunch of containers from container ships to line, the holes in the wall. The next day they were pushed over.
Oh, it's amazing that didn't work. Okay. All right. Back with the remaining moments with Allison Gill, 48 minutes after the hour. This portion of the show brought to you by Upside. It feels like all Upside.